100%. Now, when it comes to video games, achievements have been around for decades at this point. They are a very important thing, and they help gauge, what you're putting into the game and how much you're getting out of it. They basically say to the player, you have managed to achieve the impossible. And this is how many people have managed to do this as well. And it gives you this kind of sense of pride and accomplishment. That being said, I've never really focused on it too much. I've never been one to say that achievements are that important. And only in two other games that I've ever played can I say that I have deliberately went out my way to 100% them. And those being BioShock 1 and 2. And I played those games so many times. I played through them consistently for pretty much the release date. And I absolutely adore those games to this day. But when it comes to most modern games, I just play through them, finish the campaign, finish the main story, finish the little side missions and things like that, and then I'll move on to the next game. In the case of live service games, I'll spend potentially years on those games doing X, Y, and Z, but for the most part, it's one and done, and then I move on. But Monster Hunter Wilds, I think, has encompassed a factor that is so important to video games that I believe a lot of modern games are lacking, and that is fun. Now, I'm going to be honest, like, most video games do make an effort to be fun, but they don't make it the most important aspect. Sometimes they work on the visuals, the aesthetic, sometimes they work on the narrative of the story. And in other games, like in Monster Hunter Wilds, they work on the physical gameplay mechanics and how each thing interacts with each other thing and what X, Y, and Z does. They work on little things. And this game as a whole is an absolute joy to behold and to play. The gameplay mechanics have been streamlined significantly from older versions of the game. But at the same time, it still has its charm. It still has its quirky, weird kind of playstyle. And I absolutely adore this game. It was an absolute delight to play through, and I have savoured every single minute of it. Now, judging but from my profile, I'm nearly or just past 200 hours at the time of filming this video, and I don't regret a single second of that. Now, granted, some of it will be me sitting in camp and doing stupid things and not really going around monster hunting, but it has been an enjoyable experience. And everything down to the little tiny aspects of this game are so well done. For example, if you watch Gemma for long enough, you can see her go through these different things she does during her blacksmithing. It takes a long time for her to repeat her animations. It's just small things like that that add up to like the world and the aesthetic of everything. And the factor is that this game is not that difficult when you start out and you start going through it. It is just fun. You can get to the end game pretty quickly, pretty easily. But then I've seen a lot of people saying that this game is not as hard as Monster Hunter Worlds, Rise, and previous versions. And the question I ask a lot of people with that is, are you playing solo? Because if you're not playing solo, then intrinsically it's going to be easier. Because if you have like a world-class speedrunner fighting Arkveld with you, you're going to kick his ass so easily because they can kill them in under 2 minutes. But if you are playing with a bunch of noobs, it's going to be a little bit more difficult. And if you yourself are a noob, it's going to be a little bit more difficult. There's also the factor of the Palico. Now, if you're playing with your Palico, then you are definitely playing on easy mode. Palicos are so overpowered and broken in this game. They run in, heal you so often, they lay traps, they do lots of different things, they distract the boss. There are so many factors that make the Palico in this game absolutely broken, like no other game that had them. Like, literally, try turning your Palico off at your camp, and you will see how difficult this game can actually be. And now, I know there are players out there, and there is going to be people that are, in the top tier level of gamers, that are much better than me, and are able to take down Tempered Arkveld, solo, no Palico, in, as I said, under 2 minutes. But this isn't for me to say to them. This is for just the average players, because I'm going to be honest, I'm getting older. My reaction speeds are not what they used to be, and I'm more of a casual gamer than, you know, a dedicated kind of person. And this game has got plenty of difficulty in there if you are, you know, just a filthy casual. It is one of those things where I don't understand how people can say this game is easy if they are running with a Palico and a Teams. And granted, that is, if you find that fun, that is absolutely fine. That is absolutely 100% the way you should play the game if that's how you want to do it. But when it comes to it, you can't then complain about the difficulty because you have added some things that make your game a lot easier. And this is the fundamental thing. I think in the way that we have been dealing with games recently, a lot of releases that I've seen in recent times, the fun is just not there in the same way it is with Monster Hunter Wilds. There's so many releases that have been coming out recently where when you ask people how they felt about the game, they go, it was fine, it was alright, I enjoyed it, but I'm probably never going to play it again, I might not even finish it. And this is a fundamental core thing in video games. You should be having fun. I mean, I might be aging myself there, but when I think of video games, when I played Sonic 1, Sonic 2, Sonic and Knuckles, Cyborg Justice, the Contra games, Alien Breeds, freaking there's so many different games that I can. I'm trying to name older games so that I like you guys get the gist of it. Now these games were difficult. Like you had lives, you had limited tries to get through things, and they were brutal. You know, it was absolutely brutal, and you maybe only had one game for 6 months, and you played it to death, but you had to work your way to get through it. But they were fun. There was a sense of accomplishment in it. And there's so many games nowadays where there's no sense of accomplishment. You just play a cinematic story, and that's fine if that's what you like. That's absolutely fine. But a lot of the time, even the people who are casual in games go, yeah, it was alright. And I feel like we went from games like Anthem, No Man's Sky, Fallout 76, Cyberpunk 2077, games that when launched were absolutely broken and didn't work at all. And now we're in an era of games that are just alright. And if you look back at those games that were broken, you know, with the exception of Anthem, we've got Fallout 76 doing incredibly well. People are enjoying that. Cyberpunk, definitely one of the best games I've ever played. And then you've got No Man's Sky, which again, to a lot of people, would be one of the best games they've ever played. They launched buggy and kind of but overall the games ended up being something magnificent. And this is the thing, we've went from things releasing broken to turning into absolute gems, to things releasing fine and just being kinda there's not a heart there, there's not passion, there's not enjoyment to be had over playing through it once and then never touching it ever again. Yeah, that's the way I feel about gaming at the moment. I feel like I have to wade through a mountain of shit to get to the gems. So yeah, that's why I 100%ed Monster Hunter Wilds. It drew me in. It's still holding my attention after 200 hours. And there's more to come. This game is only going to get harder when they add in new difficulty levels with monsters, when they add in new monsters, when they add in freaking Elder Dragons. Because technically we have Zoshia and Gore Magala, and Gore Magala is not technically an Elder Dragon, and Zoshia is not technically an Elder Dragon either. It's very much a case of this game is just at the start of what it can be. And I think we're in for a great time. And I look forward to seeing what Capcom brings in the future. Because if they've managed to get me to put the effort in, then they've done really well in my opinion. Either way guys, that is my rant in today's video. Hopefully you've enjoyed it. Hopefully there's some points here that you want to contest or things that you want to say in regards to it. But that is my thoughts on Monster Hunter Wilds after 200 hours. Like, it's a fantastic game. And I would heavily recommend that anyone hasn't played it or hasn't picked it up that you do so, because I think you're missing out. I definitely think you're missing out. Either way, guys, I'll catch you all next time in the Forbidden Lands.